Welcome everybody to Miles Culture Plate. I am your host, Mild Kevin Miles. It is January 22nd, Sunday, 4 p.m. Hope everyone's been having a great weekend. As you can see, I'm rocking my Kansas City Chiefs hat. They had a big win in the playoffs yesterday. But I'm not, look, I'll talk a little bit of football. So we're not going to be covering anything on Twitter. We're not going to be covering anything on YouTube today. I take that back. After this stream is over, I will be having a special pre-recorded premiere of the rest of my coverage of the Vice Masculinity panel. So my previous two live streams, last Saturday and Wednesday, I kind of covered another topic, and then I covered the Vice Masculinity panel, and I was having some copyright issues with YouTube. So was concerned that I would not be able to finish that live stream. And so I did a pre-recorded video. I set it to premiere at the end of this program. So as soon as I sign off, and you'll have to excuse me, as soon as I sign off, refresh, go into my profile, refresh, whatever, there will be a brand new video there to be watched and commented on. I did not drink any whiskey for that stream. I did pre-record it earlier today, so enjoy that. But for this stream, what we've got is, we've got a little bit of football. Like I said, nothing. I'm not going to cover anything on any other website because right now on my secondary screen that I usually use to view media, I've got the Buffalo Bills versus the Cincinnati Bengals in the divisional round of the playoffs. Today's whiskey: Limestone Branch Distillery Yellowstone Select Landmark Edition Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 93 proof, 46% alcohol by volume. So I'm going to go ahead and pour a little bit of that. Oh, okay. Get the paper off. All right. Going to go ahead and try some of that for today. So I want to start off my stream correcting the record on something, because my last live stream, I was pretty aggressive, let's say. I feel like I was too condescending to people who make derivative content. And that was not my intention. I was trying to clarify that that's not what I do. And these are the reasons I don't do it. I wasn't meaning to necessarily criticize content creators who do derivative content. And I kind of pigeonholed everyone who does derivative content into one category when really there's like two or three. I kind of said, these people don't create commentary. Some do. Some will do. Kind of like what I've been doing with the Vice video. They'll take other YouTubers' stuff, chop it up, and do little, they'll make clips, but they'll comment on it. And then I kind of said, all they want to do is promote an out-of-context narrative. I wasn't necessarily talking about derivative content creators as a whole. So I want to extend an olive branch and say, no, I actually love derivative content. One of my favorite shows on social media channels, Rumble. One of my favorite shows on Rumble right now is You Can't Stop Progress by iHypocrite. I've given him a shout out. LP from iHypocrite. I've given him a shout out on this channel before. And You Can't Stop Progress is literally just taking a bunch of clips from Twitter and other video outlets and mashing them together in one big viral mess. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful the way he does it. And then you have creators, like Alyssa Clips, who I criticized in my last video, but like Alyssa Clips, like Law Nerd Clips. There's a bunch of others out there who will chop up, LawTube videos. They provide a service. So when I say they're not creating anything new, I mean that's why I don't do it. I'm here to interact with an audience. I'm here to cover the news and provide a perspective on it. I'm here to entertain and have fun. Whereas these people do provide a good service. They take long form content, 4, 5, 6 hour live streams, and they'll pick out the important parts. They'll chop it up, mash it together, and make it very digestible for someone like me, who's pretty busy throughout the week, who may have medical appointments and 8 hours of work and having to go out for dinner and go to the gym. And, someone like myself who has all these things to do in a 24-hour day, not everyone has time to listen to a 4, 5, 6 hour podcast. So big shout out and a toast on with the Yellowstone bourbon here to all the content, all the clip shows and content creators. Thank you for what you do, because quite frankly, some of these topics would be hard to follow if we didn't have the time to sit and listen to a bunch of windbags blowharding for several hours. And, again, that's not to criticize the windbags blowharding for several hours. Long form content's pretty fucking awesome too. So, big shout out to the clip channels. Go ahead and give a toast to them. Cheers. That's an interesting flavor. Real spicy. Real spicy. I really love it. Like, I wasn't expecting that much. Lately, I've been drinking my last live stream. I still got the bottle sitting here. I was drinking Johnny Walker Black Label. But, it's a, little muted. But the Yellowstone, yeah, man, it's got a nice kick to it. Oh, yeah. That's a good flavor. Anyway, so if you're wanting to follow along with me on the football game, right now looks like Cincinnati 17, Buffalo 10. Second and goal. Okay, now Cincinnati just scored again with 1:13 left in the third quarter. So, sure. You want to follow along, because I may be reacting to big things that happen. Good touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, no arms were raised. Wait a minute. Looks like they may have held him out of the end zone. I don't know how. He's on the line. Okay, anyway. So not to get too distracted, let's cover some, now that I've given my apologies, let's cover a little bit the big con debate. Everyone's given their take, and quite frankly, I shouldn't need to. It's been 3 days now. It has been, hashed out and talked about by everyone on every side of the spectrum. And, if you're not familiar, which you are, because it's been talked about everywhere on YouTube, Steven Crowder came out with a video exposing some terms that he was given in a contract offer, which was just a terms page for a contract offer that he was getting from a large conservative media company. And he detailed a lot of terms of the contract, not everything, and he did not mention this company by name. However, 24 hours later, Jeremy Boring of the Daily Wire issued a response video in which he basically said, hey, this is just business, blah, blah, blah. And then Steven Crowder released a second video where he had recorded a phone conversation between him and Jeremy Boring talking about this deal page, and he had asked him essentially, well, what about small creators coming up and having to face these terms of big tech, we're supposed to be against big tech, and Jeremy Boring, like the microphone drop moment on this phone call recording was Jeremy Boring's like, well, they could be wage slaves until we get their channel built. And so the idea is you're supposed to be offended by the term wage slave, right? You're supposed to be offended that here you are, you're signing this big contract, but yet you still got to do whatever you got to do to make ends meet, and you don't get to own your shit. So where do I fall on this debate between Steven Crowder and the Daily Wire? Well, to be honest, be perfectly honest, I think they're all assholes. Don't get me wrong. But for one, this is very opportunistic of Steven Crowder. That's not to criticize the perspective he laid out in his videos, but everything a media figure does is for a reason, right? You can't, even if it's the right thing to do, like, why didn't you do it the day before or the week before? You did it because you were ready to back it up with something else. And it appears Steven Crowder is trying to move people to join Mug Club under some promise that he's going to start taking on smaller creators and creating his own little network. That's what it seems like to me. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it is very opportune, and it very much has a feeling like, I'm on my own, I've got to do my own thing. What's the best way to get eyeballs on my product? To create drama. To create a monster to fight. And Crowder's smart enough that, he has definitely used that tactic in his favor before. Against YouTube, against, he's definitely good at creating a monster that he, the conservative, has to fight. So, I'm not saying it's a scam, though, because I truly believe that what he said was kind of important. And so this gets lost. This tends to get lost in the conversation. And I've definitely heard a lot of people's bad takes on this. And the idea that they were friends, or this was a business decision, or the risk. So these three factors are really what I want to talk about here. It's a bad look for Steven Crowder to be recording phone calls of either his friends or his business associates, whatever way you want to look at it. This idea that he shouldn't be recording phone calls. Now, in the video, he said he's only recorded 3 phone calls in his professional career, and all 3 of those phone calls had something to do with big tech influence. Fair enough. And now is when the referees get involved. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know whether to believe him or not on that. I don't know. But here's the thing. If I was running a conservative corporate entity, right? If I had 25 employees, you better damn well bet I'm going to be recording a lot of business interactions. I don't think it's unheard of to say, hey, this is pretty contentious, I'm going to record this. And make no mistake, in Texas and in Tennessee, they're both one-party states, so neither, Steven never had an obligation to tell Jeremy he was being recorded. Now, I also want to point out, Steven didn't release the whole phone call. Now, you could say that that's because it might make Steven look bad. Well, it might also make Jeremy look even worse. I would find it very interesting what else would be on that tape. And I find it interesting that neither Daily Wire nor Steven Crowder seem interested in releasing that rest of that recording. I also find it interesting that Jeremy didn't record. Because let's think about this. Jeremy's entire premise was this is a business deal. This is a business deal and we have to mitigate risk. Well, the best way to mitigate risk is to make sure everyone's on the same page. And if you have someone agreeing to something in a recording, that's a good damn way to mitigate risk. And so, if someone's calling me to discuss a business decision, I'm hitting that record button. Now, again, a lot of the criticism I am seeing is, oh, well, they were friends. You shouldn't treat friends like that. And here's my response. As soon as Jeremy Boring handed Crowder's agent that term sheet, that absurd term sheet with... It was an insult. It was an insult. Daily Wire may not think it's an insult. They may not know that they were insulting Steven Crowder by giving him this sheet of terms to agree to. And again, they think they were mitigating risk. But quite frankly, this isn't about mitigating risk. The thing you are purchasing is the risk. You know, it's like me buying a car and saying, well, you can only drive the car when there's no other cars on the road. Because then we might lose our value in the car. You know, you have to take some risk in business. So this idea that Daily Wire had to mitigate risk, no, this is your friend. You already knew he was very profitable. And this idea that the package deal had to include making money off of YouTube, had to include making money off of Facebook. Anyone who has followed Steven Crowder for more than 5 minutes knows he's demonetized on those two platforms, has always been, and probably will be for the foreseeable future. So already that's 40% off the 50 million. So he's down to what, 30 million? And he has to pay an entire staff's production costs, maintain production value and all the equipment and his studio, and somehow pay himself with what's left out of that $30 million. That's a lot of money, yes. But also, out of that, well, that $30 million that's left after you've taken the 40% off. Well, actually, okay, 20%. So really, you're talking closer to 10 million. So 20% off for YouTube, 20% off for Facebook. Maybe it's 15% off for Facebook. But you're talking about $10-15 million left to maintain production costs, to maintain your own infrastructure. Because Steven Crowder isn't just a talent. You're buying his production company. You're buying his produced content. You're not necessarily buying his social media and all that. You're buying his produced content. And this is the fucking misnomer here. Is this idea that, well, if monetization goes down on YouTube and Facebook, well, then that's just harder for all of us to make money. No, it's not. I thought, like, the whole reason Crowder is signing with you is so that he's not beholden to YouTube, so that he's not beholden to Facebook, so that he has your platform, Daily Wire Plus, behind a paywall that he can send his subscribers to pay money to watch him. YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, these are supposed to be a backup. You're supposed to be the platform. You've got it backwards. Daily Wire's got this backwards. They're supposed to be the provider. But they want to punish Steven Crowder for these other providers not carrying his content and not monetizing him. And punish him to the tune of 20 million per, or 20% Oh, okay. So I guess that would be 30 million. My bad. 20% of 50. Yeah. You know, and then he loses more money if he misses a show, which, don't get me wrong, this has been one of my criticisms of Steven Crowder all along, is that he takes fucking a whole month off twice a year. You know, you pay for a year, but you're getting 10 months of Mug Club. Which you should know that going in if you're a fan. But it's the reality of Steven Crowder. So maybe something like that should be built into the contract. But not after he's already lost 20%, really 40%. He's down to what, 25, 30 million by that point in time, somewhere between 25 and 30 million. And then you're going to ding him another 20% because he missed some time or missed an advertiser spot or didn't want to kowtow to a super left-wing advertiser. Someone like Black Rifle Coffee, who already pulled their ads from Crowder once because he was too friendly with Kyle Rittenhouse. This is ridiculous, people. So that term sheet, and again, so this is the other narrative. Oh, it was just a term sheet. It wasn't a full contract, and you're supposed to go to the table and negotiate the bad things out of a term sheet. I mean, when you give someone a contract or a term sheet whose starting point is so far that just the number negotiation, there's no middle ground. Like, it's going to be impossible to come to middle ground on just the numbers. Then all the other shit, trying to redline all the other shit, even with attorneys fighting over it, yeah, you're never going to negotiate out all that bad shit. So if this is what you're presenting me and saying, well, we can't take on this much risk. Well, then what the fuck are you buying? How is it beneficial for anyone? Now, I know the answer to this question, but how is it beneficial to anyone to go to the Daily Wire and take a contract like this when, if something happens to YouTube, you're not guaranteed a paycheck? You just stay on YouTube and still lose your paycheck. And you can have control of all your own shit, control of all your own subscribers. Now, the theory is people already subscribe to Daily Wire would then view the content, and your exposure would grow, and then at the end of the contract, you've got more followers. Let me tell you, as someone who's been in the music industry, as someone who has performed in front of audiences for exposure don't pay the bills. Exposure doesn't further a movement. You might think it does, but no. An audience can leave just as quickly as it comes, and there's no guarantee people would follow Steven Crowder. Now, his organic audience that he's grown from day one might, but there's no guarantee the Daily Wire audience would follow Steven Crowder off platform, especially if they're already paying Ben Shapiro $20 a month. So again, I ask, what risk are you taking? What risk are you taking for this money? Because the money you're really making, for the most part, is supposed to be coming from these Daily Wire subscriptions. If you're saying, no, we're going to be making the money off of YouTube, then Crowder should stay on YouTube. Now, granted, the real money, and this is the answer to the question I asked earlier, the real money comes in the ad reads. Comes in Daily Wire's ability to negotiate with advertisers to do 4 ad reads an hour, and that would rake in the money. But this assumption that somehow Steven Crowder isn't capable of nailing his own, getting his own ad spots or hiring somebody to get his own ad spots is atrocious. Like, that's really the only service in the long run that's worth any of the money in this contract is Ben and Jeremy's ability to get advertisers. And from what I understand, those are some expensive ads. There have been people in Nick Rekieta's chat who got quotes from the Daily Wire for advertising. Said it was quite expensive for 3 ad reads. So in the long run, you want control of just about everything but Steven's own personal Twitter account. And you want the ability to monetize all of those things. And if any of it's not monetizable, you're going to take away his paycheck. Or huge chunks of his paycheck. Which is already, those things have already happened. He can't monetize his YouTube. He's having an insane time getting Facebook to even talk to him and his half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. Shout out to Bill Richmond, man. Big cheers to Bill Richmond. I'm not pro-Crowder because I'm pro-Crowder. I have a lot of criticisms of Steven Crowder. I'm not going to clutch my pearls over the phone call, and I'm not going to clutch my pearls over him going public with this. Because quite frankly, the Daily Wire, the Blaze, these companies, these big media companies, beholden to investors and advertisers. Yeah, you say that Steven Crowder's your friend, and yet you offer him a hostile contract. So then he follows up with a phone call, which you're already in a hostile position at this point. He's not recording a friend. I see all these comments all over the internet that Steven Crowder was recording one of his friends. No, he's not recording a friend. He's recording a business associate who provided him with a hostile term sheet that he disagreed with. They were in hostile territory. And he did it not to renegotiate the contract and say, no, these are the terms you should follow. He said, he was essentially just begging him, don't do it to the next guy. Don't do it to the next guy. And Jeremy's response was, well, next guy could be a wage slave. I don't care. Okay. Fair enough. Agree to disagree, part ways, whatever. But it made Daily Wire look like shit. So now you have just about everybody on the Daily Wire who's now commented on this publicly after the phone call was released. And quite frankly, I don't like any of their takes. All their takes are about money, about how, well, this isn't a contract, it's a term sheet, and you're supposed to negotiate those things out. No, I shouldn't have to pay a lawyer several $1,000s to negotiate with one of my friends. We should be able to handshake and come to a good agreement. So all this we're friends bullshit, it's just jockeying and posture. I don't think it's real. It's play for the audience. Uh-oh. Cincinnati's got a 4th and goal right now, folks. Yet again, 4th and goal. So it doesn't look like this game in Atlanta might be happening. Anyway, so that's all I've got to say really about the whole Crowder Daily Wire Big Con situation. Because quite frankly, Crowder is Big Con too. If he wasn't Big Con, you'd still see Owen Benjamin. You'd still see Not Gay Jared. I know Quarter Black Garrett still sometimes may do things with louder with Crowder, but for the most part, he's left too. Crowder has the capability to prop up these stars, give them like a sub show of his show, promote them. But I'm not going to harp on that. I'm just saying, Crowder is big conservative media too. He just happened to have a point this time. And quite frankly, look, I'm a libertarian activist. I saw it with my own two eyes when the Ron Paul for President movement in 2008 went out and did protests. They called them tea parties. Where do we know that term from? Oh yeah, that's right. A year and a half later, big conservative media started holding their own events and calling them tea parties. We had an audit the Federal Reserve movement that sprung up in the aftermath of the bailouts, before the Occupy shit. And there were a few cities that called their Federal Reserve protests angry mobs. Where did we hear that term? Oh yeah, a year later, conservative media was sending Republicans out to town halls to question their Democrat representation and called them angry mobs. So I know all about Big Con. I know all about big conservative media trying to look grassroots, trying to look astroturfed. Because that's all it is. It's a bunch of people who support the establishment and make no doubt about it. When I could turn on the radio in my car and hear corporate radio broadcasting Ben Shapiro, he doesn't have spicy takes. He supports the establishment WWE left-right wrestling match. He has no hot takes. He may say something about transgenders once in a blue moon, but he's not going to say anything the establishment doesn't want him to say, because Daily Wire has investors. More on that on a different day. Anyway, shout out to Alyssa Clips, who just popped into the chat. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see, same back at you. Hope to see growth throughout the entire movement here. I want to see you grow, and shout out to Mark in the chat as well. Growth for everybody. I just talked mad shit about Daily Wire. I hope to see Daily Wire grow. There's space in the media for everyone, including the corrupt. The corrupt gives us shit to talk about, gives us shit to warn people about. So yeah, there's space for growth for everybody. And I'm not trying to compare Alyssa here to Daily Wire, but definitely, I hope you grow as well. I hope success, man, because success. Cheers. So howdy, Mark in the chat. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. So that's the Daily Wire stuff. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to talk about. There were actually two other things I want to talk about, and I don't remember the other one. The other big news story of the week, I should have covered this at the beginning because this is going to be a shorter thing. The other big news story of the week is Eliza Bleu. I had no idea who this person was And apparently there were a lot of people who've been following this person and knew of this person and followed them ever since she was dating someone from, I guess, My Chemical Romance or one of these bands. Anyway, all of a sudden, this Eliza started popping up in my feed around the Elon Musk Twitter files, kind of Twitter takeover. Child sex trafficking was mentioned, and trying to get the child porn off of Twitter. And I was like, oh, this sounds like a cool fucking person. Yes, Mark, I've had an awesome weekend. As you can see, I'm wearing a Chiefs hat. They won big, and I'm kind of celebrating. Got a good little whiskey going. So far, it's been a great weekend. Thank you for noticing. Anyway, so Eliza, I guess, has had a little shadier past than some people might think. And there were some screenshots of a YouTube video in which she was grind dancing to hip hop. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that, but I guess the allegation now is that she has to now claim revenge porn because she didn't consent to the hip hop video in which she's very clearly grind dancing on her own. There's a lot more to this story. It's going to get a whole lot deeper, and definitely there are a lot of people who have covered it much deeper than I will or have any plans to. I'm not going to cover it, but what I did want to mention is that there are two content creators. I'm not a big fan of Brittany Venti, but Brittany Venti essentially just asked Eliza on Twitter, hey, what about this? What about this grind dancing video? And, I mean, boom, she gets banned from Twitter. And Jeremy Hambley of The Quartering, same thing. Asked her about the screenshot of the video, widely available on YouTube, has been there this whole time, several years. She's not flagging the video that I know of, or hadn't for all these years apparently. But yet, it's allegedly revenge porn, and now people have to be banned from Twitter now that you've got an inroad into Elon Musk's office. Very fucking sus. And again, I never trusted Elon from day one. I mean, granted, he's done some great things, and even Eliza, getting child porn off of Twitter is a good thing. Addressing sex trafficking through social media is a good thing. But there are questions now about her sex trafficking story. Rightful questions that, if you got nothing to hide, why won't you answer? Yes, Mark, right on in the chat. Elon isn't the savior people think he is. I don't think he ever was. I covered it right here on this channel during the whole takeover. I was like, one of his first actions was to meet with the Southern Poverty Law Center, ADL, all these black voting movement people. He just sat in a room with all these people that, preached to him about what Twitter should look like. These are the people he sat at the table with. And granted, racism on Twitter might be an issue that could be talked about and worked on. But is it really your first item of business that you should sit down with other people on? I don't know. But here we are, months down the road. So I guess the reason I bring this up is, if you can, just go on Twitter or go on your social media and just bring some awareness that The Quartering and Brittany Venti, even though I fucking don't like Brittany Venti, the Quartering and Brittany Venti are being, unrightfully censored. You know, they're having their free speech oppressed, and there are definitely a lot of tweets out there from Eliza talking about free speech. So I'm not telling you to go in a harassment campaign against Eliza. I'm not telling you to contact her. I'm not even really telling you to contact Elon Musk. But just getting the word out that Jeremy Hambley, Brittany Venti are being censored on Twitter. Get the word out. Big shout out to those two for at least trying to get some kind of word out on something. Cheers. Yeah, it's going to be really hard for Buffalo to come back. 27-10, 8.5 minutes left of the fourth quarter. Looks like Kansas City's going to be hosting its fifth straight AFC Championship game. Might as well call it the Lamar Hunt Invitational at this point. So sorry if you're not a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I'm trying to remember what that fifth topic was I wanted to talk about tonight. I guess I could cover a little bit of this. I have planned to do some travel at the end of February. If you're a follower of Nick Rekieta, you may have heard that he plans to do a meetup toward the end of February, and I've booked my travel for that, which means that Saturday I am not going to be available to do a stream, and I'm not going to be able to do a makeup stream on Sunday. I'm not going to be taking my computer equipment. However, I may wind up doing a little rant or something on shorts at some point that weekend, and I may wind up doing some longer form content just on my phone from the hotel room if the connection, which is a big if the connection is decent enough. So those are my plans for that week. The Wednesday stream it may wind up being moved to Thursday. Again, if you're following me on social media, I will definitely give you a better timeline as things develop. But I will be traveling back Wednesday, getting back in the late afternoon. So the idea that I would be back at this computer by 7 p.m., that may be pushing it. But, it'll be a vacation week. I'll have a lot of time off, and I will have a lot more time to stream. So if anything happens in politics and in internet media, in entertainment. Oh, I remember what the other thing I wanted to talk about was. I want to give my review of the worst television show of all time. You may think I'm talking about Velma. Oh no, I am not talking about Velma. That's every other channel's gig, right? All the other channels, they're talking about Velma. I want to talk about MILF Manor. Have y'all heard about this MILF Manor? So, a couple weeks back, I come across this Twitter post. Somebody making fun of this trailer for this upcoming TV show where these women are acting buck wild and talking about how they love younger guys. And then kind of at the end, it's like, oh no, there's a plot twist. What's the plot twist? Well, we're not going to tell you. Of course, the plot twist is obvious. These women are on a dating show with their own sons. Yes, it is very awful. It is very awful. But here's my catch. I think it's fake as shit. It's obviously fake. A lot of these reality shows are just fake as hell, and this one seems so fake. You're on this giant island property, right? And the first episode ends with this dude like making out with like the biggest hoe on the show, like in perfect view of where his mom is on a date, like specifically to fuck with his mom. Like you're on this giant island, but you're creating drama with your mom for no fucking reason. Like obviously fake, obviously TV. So anyway, so yeah, it's their son. So the beginning of the show, you kind of learn their personalities and this and that. Then you go through, and then they have this competition, folks. They have this competition for the big room in the mansion. The big room. I guess there's two of them, but they got this competition where they put blindfolds on the moms. And then they're supposed to rub these men down and grope them to figure out which one is my son. Even if it's fake, like the thought of this incestual rubbing of your son's body, this is so gross. And the whole time my brain's thinking, man, you could not do this show with the genders swapped. Like, could you imagine a bunch of old perverted men rubbing on young women and one of them being his daughter? That is just, I can't even fathom it. And so, like, then there's this one mom who, like, she's supposed to be the ugly one. Like, to me, she's the most fucking sane one so far. But then you get to the end, and then they're like, this season on, and she winds up being like crazy in the previews of the rest of the episodes. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep watching this. It really fucking grosses me out, just the thought that they're trying to portray this as that these are mothers and sons, which some of them really look like these women. I'm not going to lie. Maybe it is their son, but they did this whole scene where she's trying to do a booty call in the middle of the night. The first night, the hoe, this is a different guy she's trying to call. Anyway, and her son, she's like, her son's cock blocking her. And I, like, this is why I think it's fake. Because, like, really, like, you weren't thinking about the fact that you had to do something about the fact that you're sharing a room with your son before you start calling your booty call. Yes, Mark, at least make it a stepmom. Step MILF Manor. Maybe that's going to be season 2. But wait, if it's a stepmom, I don't know. If it's stepmom, then they've already got a man. But I guess that doesn't matter on Pornhub, so why would it matter to the Learning Channel? The Learning Channel. TLC. And again, I'm not necessarily trying to promote TLC. I'm not advocating y'all go watch it, but definitely I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 just because, I mean, the first episode anyway, just a 4 out of 10 just because, like, it's so bad that, again, you can hate watch it and get a little entertainment, and you can be watching for the kind of things you would expect, and you're going to see them. I watched it on demand, and it was just bad. So anyway, so those are the topics. I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about today, other than, you know, this football game's getting out of control for the Buffalo Bills. I really am shocked because I kind of thought, like, I expect the NFL to have a little WWE to it. Like, I don't I don't think football. I think football's a little predetermined. I think the refs get involved at opportune times to make sure certain outcomes happen. I'm not saying it's completely fake. I'm not saying it's completely rigged, but there is definitely a narrative that happens in the NFL. And right now, I really thought with the whole Damar Hamlin stuff that Buffalo was sure to be the next Super Bowl champions, but right now they're losing 27-10 with 6.5 minutes left in the game. Cincinnati's got the ball, so it does not look like that neutral game in Atlanta is going to be happening. It looks like Cincinnati's coming here to Kansas City and for another AFC championship game. Hopefully it goes better than last year between those two teams. Anyway, from my perspective, if you're a fan of the Bengals, you may be hoping for a repeat. Oh yeah. Yep, Alyssa, good news for Bengals fans. Yes. So, what do we have going on here for the night? Not sure. I'm going to keep my eyes open for topics to talk about on Wednesday. Usually Monday and Tuesday are big news days. We'll see what comes down the pipe. I could have covered, there's been some other Twitter files regarding Facebook. There have been some other Twitter files regarding COVID. Quite frankly, it's a lot more of the same. More of the FBI and CIA just giving blanket requests to censor social media. So, same news is not really new news, not really something I'm desperate to talk about for several minutes at a time. So, worst case scenario, if nothing halfway decent happens, if no news gets created, I may wind up covering that on my Wednesday show. May wind up covering some of those other Twitter/Facebook files. But yeah, thank you for stopping by. Alyssa, yes, LSU. Being a Chiefs fan, a lot of our previous running backs, and they're LSU's had a lot of talent, and Burrow's definitely right up there. I have a lot of respect for him. As a Chiefs fan, I have to talk shit. So on Twitter, I've been posting a lot of, like top 5 QBs in the playoffs. So this was the joke: top 5 QBs in the playoffs. Mahomes with one ankle, Mahomes is backup. Burrow, of course, Burrow and Allen aren't on the list. So, but no, I'm just teasing. Burrow and Allen, amazing quarterbacks, and definitely I hope them a lot of success. Unfortunately, their success means the Chiefs aren't gonna go to the Super Bowl, but definitely got to wish the Chiefs success, but definitely like Cincinnati and Buffalo also. They're amazing teams to watch, and this has been an interesting couple of seasons of football with all this young talent in the AFC. So I definitely hope that continues, and that all these guys, these superstars, stay healthy and become the next dynasty of like the Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, definitely hope that these 3 or 4 younger quarterbacks really elevate the level of competition in the NFL for this generation. I mean, they've already started. It's just amazing. I can't believe it. But yeah, thank you for stopping by, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and wind this up a little bit early. So yeah, here in about 5 minutes, I will have YouTube will make my other video live. The second half of the Vice masculinity panel that I recorded earlier today. It will go live, so feel free to watch it. Again, just a big thank you to everyone. Big thank you to everyone on YouTube. Big thank you to anyone who's watching on Rumble. Thank you to everyone. All my Rumble link and my YouTube, all that stuff should be down in the description. Facebook, locals. As always, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Don't get any on you. And if you do, rub that shit in real good. Thanks for stopping by. Peace.